Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our Workday Looking Forward webinar today, How Workday Accelerates Extended Workforce Management. Today's webinar is part of our Looking Forward with Workday webinar series, designed to give you insight into how your organization can do more with Workday, including additional ways we support how you manage your people, both internal and external, and your business. Our topics are focused on enabling an agile and digital enterprise, highlighting how Workday technology enables resilience as our customers respond to change. Before we kick off, just a few housekeeping items to mention. So since we do have quite a few folks joining us for today's session, all our attendees are muted, but we do encourage you to use the Q&A feature, and that's the icon with the question mark in the speech bubble. You can submit questions anytime during the webinar, and we'll try to answer these as many as we can during today's session, and we'll follow up with any of those who are not able to address during the webinar. Also, please note that a recording will be available in approximately 24 hours, and you can access this with the same link that you used to join the session today. And lastly, there's a survey. So there's an icon all the way to the right of your toolbar that's at the bottom of your screen. It's the speech bubble with the lines in it, and that's to complete a short 3-question survey at the end of this webinar. And I really do encourage you to take a moment to fill out that survey at the end of the session. So this really informs us of what you'd like to see more of and how we can deliver the content that is more important to you. And as a reminder, any and all forward-looking statements made during this presentation are protected by our safe harbor statement. We encourage our customers to only make purchase decisions based on what is currently available in Workday. And now, introductions. So you'll be hearing from this team today, starting with Carrie Kiley, head of our Extended Workforce Program here at Workday. She will share her experience and expertise with you as a program practitioner managing contingent workforce programs. Next, we have Nicole Burnham. She's from our solution consulting team, who will walk you through a high-level overview demonstration and as well explain the value of managing your contingent workforce in Workday VNDLY and Workday HCM working together as a unified solution. And we have Brett Zuckert, who is our very well-versed senior enterprise architect, who will be behind the scenes helping to answer any questions you may have and also be a part of our Q&A to address questions live with the team. And hello from me, I'm Michelle Monroy. I am a part of our product marketing team here at Workday, and I'll be kicking off the presentation today and then handing the floor over to Carrie and the team. And one more look at our agenda. So I'll walk you through what we are seeing in the workplace today around the extended workforce. Then I'm going to pass it over to Carrie, where she will walk you through her own best practices of what makes a successful extended workforce program, followed by a look behind the scenes of how Workday's own extended workforce program is set up and managed. Then Nicole will provide an overview demo of Workday VNDLY and Workday HCM working together. And finally, we will round it up for some Q&A time with our team and answer any questions you may have. And with that, I will begin our presentation. So here are a few data points on what we are seeing today. The composition of today's workforce is seeing a major shift. As reported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics to the Society of HR Management, we are seeing that external workers are making up a third to almost 40% of the entire workforce. And with the way the world of work continues to change, with stark worker shortages, the need for specialized skills, and attrition on the rise, companies are increasingly expanding their use of contingent labor to fill critical talent gaps. And in the next 4 years, we can expect that number to rise even more to 50%, or half of the workforce. So the reality is that we are in a boundless skills economy today. Skills and talent can come from anywhere, and an increasing number of organizations are relying on a diverse mix of contributors to get work done. No longer are we confined to salary full-time employees. So they're relying more on these extended workers, such as those that are contingent, freelance, outsourced, and gig, and they have all become primary sources for filling the roles to drive business continuity. All of this means a growing need for new practices with significant implications to develop strategy, leadership, organizational culture, and workforce management to support this new reality. As well, this results in the need for a new type of talent management solution that sees extended workers more like talent and less like a procurement line item. However, we are seeing a gap. So in this Deloitte research, they found that only 30% of companies are sufficiently prepared to manage a workforce that is dependent on external workers. And the Society for HR Professionals says that this alternate workforce is not even being considered in workforce budgeting, planning, or forecasting. So even though the reality is that an organization workforce is increasingly dependent on these extended workers, we're seeing that their management practices, their systems and processes are designed to manage only permanent employees. So to meet the changing demands of the business, organizations will need to invest in a solution that can manage these multiple types of workers. So a combination of full-time employees and external workers as they evolve their talent strategy. Workday VNDLY is an extended workforce and vendor management system, or a VMS. And that helps organizations to plan, source, optimize critical external skills to run the business. So it can be used to manage your entire contingent workforce population. So when thinking about your non-employee workforce, this could include your traditional extended workers or those staff augmented roles. But additionally, we can also include statement of work and worker profile management for headcount tracking. The advantage of using VNDLY to manage all three pillars of your contingent workforce program means a shared master data set, which enables reporting. It also includes invoicing, compliance, and integrations all within one system. And also Workday VNDLY is the only VMS that hooks right into Workday's core data foundation, making Workday the first enterprise management cloud platform to fully merge extended workers into the workforce ecosystem, making it possible to unify your entire workforce. And with that, I'll pass the floor over to you, Carrie.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm here today to share with you my experiences as a contingent workforce practitioner and what I've learned throughout my 12 plus years of both my own learnings as well as from other practitioners in the field around what makes a successful extended or contingent workforce program. Before we begin, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey as a contingent workforce program professional and how I've come to know what I know about how to best run a successful extended workforce program. I started on this path about 22 years ago in the contingent workforce space on both the staffing and buyer side of the ecosystem. I spent the first half of my career on the staffing side before moving to contingent workforce program management for large companies with large contingent workforces such as Google, Facebook, or now Meta, and now Workday, where I joined and have been running the contingent workforce program since 2019. I have worked with many different size projects, different program structures, and many different vendors, you name it. And I've encountered many challenges along the way and have seen many changes occur as well in the industry. And I think having to deal with constant change is the most difficult part of any contingent workforce program. It's the unpredictability in both the human element and the market changes. Depending on the economic and market conditions, workforce drivers continually evolve and change. And what motivates people changes frequently as well, which is all the more reason to develop a strong program foundation based on essential pillars that can withstand continual change and keep your program grounded and in control, but be flexible enough to be adaptable and allow you to change quickly to evolving business needs. In my next slide, I'm going to provide you with a few key components of an extended or contingent workforce program that I have learned along the way that are essential to running a successful program in any sized organization. Having run the contingent programs in a few organizations now, there have been different sizes of companies, programs, different company cultures, and philosophies for running these programs, as well as different types of leadership who have ownership and accountability over how contingent workers are planned for, sourced, and managed in the organization. These next points are some key components to running an effective extended workforce program framework for your organization. The keys really to building a foundation for a successful and efficient operation. First and foremost, having organizational buy-in for governance is critical for program success. And a culture that considers contingent workers as a talent solution is ideal. This idea, of course, leads to the importance of corporate branding to align contingent sourcing along similar hiring strategies as regular employees. After all, their performance and engagement in the company values and culture is just as important for being productive and achieving the goals set out for the worker. Extended worker policies are a key component of the governance framework referenced. Having clear categories and definitions for this class of worker is important for compliance and supporting security practices. Having a PMO and/or an MSP, whether your program runs out of HR or procurement, this program structure is common for those who have both a PMO and/or an MSP. This structure is similar to how I run our program here at Workday, but I'll go into a little bit more detail in a couple of slides. Also important is the communication framework that applies a broad approach to leverage the available company channels to ensure that the information needed by any requester is easily accessible. This could also include internal branding for some programs. And last but not least, you need innovative technology that is intended to manage the end-to-end life cycle of these extended workers in a system that is designed to manage their complexities, not just tracking where they are, who they report into. And if you can create a solution where you have visibility and access to manage both your employees and your external workforce, then even better. So now I've shown you the framework or the building blocks of what a successful program can look like. And I'd like to take you behind the curtains and go into a bit more detail about each of these building blocks and how we apply them at Workday. At Workday, the Contingent Workforce Program falls under the People and Purpose Organization, or HR. We sit within the Talent Services organization and sit parallel to other people functions, where the people aspect of our workforce is a primary consideration in the design and execution of our program policies and processes. The previous programs I have managed sat within an HR function as well, of course, always with a very close partnership to our procurement partners. In technology companies, we see a majority of companies manage their contingent workers through their HR organizations. And at Workday, we view the contingent workers as part of our talent strategy, augmenting our team with flexible talent to achieve our business outcomes. Sorry about that, wrong slide. The organizational buy-in is critical for program success as it supports our program governance to ensure that we're organized, consistent, and structured in how we source and manage our extended workers. Also, that we're aligned under a corporate culture that considers contingent workers as a talent solution, not just a numbered worker who fills a job requisition. As we move towards total workforce planning, extended workers should be included in those planning efforts in whatever way they can be. And having the Workday program organizationally closer to that people planning cycle is helpful as we head in that direction. Our extended workforce program is the responsible party for the sourcing and management of workers who provide services to Workday. We govern this workforce with extended worker policies that are a key component of our governance framework. You really need clear categories and definitions of the different worker categories and reasons for using each, as well as a clear outline of any tenure limits or break-in service policies. These really are the foundational components of a clear policy. And of course, having a decision-making framework for any exceptions to the categories, tenure limits, or other policy provisions will help ensure that you have the right balance of risk versus business for your specific program and company. At Workday, we partner with an MSP or a managed service provider for end-to-end contingent requisition support for our largest locations. And currently, my internal team supports requests in our locations that use contingent workers less frequently. We have a hybrid approach to our program today. Together, we are responsible for finding the talent and managing the end-to-end processes for these non-employee workers. We also manage the onboarding and compliance requirements for all categories of extended workers globally at Workday. All of this is best enabled with the technology of a VMS, or vendor management system. I'll go further into our processes in the next segment about our communication framework. Our procedure for sharing information with our organization are crucial to the effectiveness of our contingent workforce program operations. We have developed a communication framework that leverages our existing communication tools within Workday, so access to information is just a few clicks away. For instance, the policies I spoke of earlier can be found through our internal intranet portal. So any hiring manager who wishes to hire a contractor can engage in the contingent workforce program via this route. This, of course, links to the job requisition process in Workday VNDLY, which kicks off the entire contingent sourcing program and process for my team. Developing a consistent communication process between your program team and or MSP is also important for maintaining an organized process for managing requisitions, candidate tracking and assessment, hiring, and the onboarding and offboarding processes. There are so many moving parts in the sourcing processes for contingent workers. Managing the communication within Workday VNDLY for all of our extended workforce needs keep things in one place. I'm not combing through emails, looking for various threads of supplier and hiring manager conversations, changes to requisition, rates, job details, comments about candidates, tracking of compliance. Our hiring managers, suppliers, and members of my team can be in the know at any time on the status of a job rec or a hire, since we're capturing all of that within our VMS. And my last point about our communication framework at Workday is how we use Workday as a hub for our contractor onboarding and offboarding needs. You know that when you hire an employee, there's a process between the hiring manager, HR, and IT to get that person onboarded and ensure that they're provisioned with the equipment and access that they need upon their start date. Well, we need to do that too with contractors, and we do that through Workday VNDLY. Because Workday VNDLY is already connected to the core foundation of Workday, contractors who get hired through VNDLY automatically flow into that provisioning process and deprovisioning process as well when they leave. And this, of course, brings us to Workday's innovative technology that serves as the backbone of our contingent workforce program, unifying our information and our operations. Workday HCM is our single source of truth for not only employee information, but our core foundational information, such as org structures and cost codes. Workday VNDLY is our single source of truth for extended workers, keeping separate but visible records of our non-employee workforce. Having a unified solution enables me to leverage the power of Workday solutions for extended workers as HR can for employees. Today, I use Workday and Workday VNDLY to better understand the full picture of our extended workforce. Workers are visible in our internal org charts, which are used widely at Workday to understand how individuals fit into a specific team and or work projects. This visibility also facilitates additional access required for the workers to complete their assigned work. And we can quickly pivot to more detailed information in VNDLY about both the worker and the work being performed as needed. But it wasn't always like this. for us. Before Workday VNDLY was implemented, we had a different VMS, and we experienced some challenges. For the most part, we were managing. However, Workday and this VMS were not integrated, and there was a heavy lift between managing siloed systems and what I like to call a swivel chair administration, where my team and I were constantly entering information, the same information twice, once in our HCM, Workday, and then once in our VMS. This caused operational inefficiencies. There were multiple data entry points, and we were wasting a lot of time on administrative functions rather than actively or proactively running the program. Our data was just never in sync. No matter how quickly we would enter data into both systems, there was still lag time, and neither system ever really matched or was up to date in real time. The lack of integrations with Workday HCM was a huge challenge for us. While we were assured by this other vendor that we could achieve an integration with Workday, they just couldn't deliver on this, and we wasted several months trying. I'm sure some of you know how frustrating that could be. Not having our systems speaking to one another was a huge problem. Not only was it the cause of operational inefficiencies, but it made our data unreliable. There are many chances for human error when you have multiple data entry points. And information is only useful if it's accurate. As well, multiple systems meant multiple information points and ways of reporting, so that we were constantly having to consolidate information and manually manipulate it to try and make it meaningful. We could not easily share any program information with our stakeholders. There was also an inflexible user experience and issues with user adoption for us. We had hiring managers not using the system, and we did a lot of one-off communications with suppliers because they didn't like using the old VMS. As well, with multiple systems tracking multiple sources of information, our end users were not having the best user experience. They could never quite figure out which information could be found where. If there was an issue with any of the information, they weren't able to easily identify who could fix it, where it would need to be fixed. And they really didn't have access to most of the systems that they needed in order to make the updates that they recognized. So it generally resulted in having to open a ticket that could take days, and in some cases even weeks, to resolve. And then finally, the lack of spend visibility was a really big issue, and visibility overall. We didn't have automated invoicing with our old VMS, and we were spending countless hours reconciling supplier invoicing each month. And we could not easily provide spend data to our finance team when asked for information. And when we did, we would spend several hours each month rectifying billing errors due to human error or having information dual data entered into two systems and that manual invoicing. And of course, that lack of visibility created significant issues. Going back and forth between Workday and this other VMS to understand the total picture of our extended workforce was very administrative and very inefficient. In summary, this was our path from an inflexible program and system to one that is now very agile and flexible to meet our changing needs. As our program expands, for instance, to incorporate more regions, more role types, Workday VNDLY can scale with us and easily within our own control. And when we finally replaced our VMS with VNDLY, we saw the value of a connected solution immediately. With Workday VNDLY, we get that seamless connected experience where data is synchronized in real time to Workday HCM. Our extended workers show up in all of our upstream and downstream Workday applications, HCM, Active Directory, our badging system, and more. And you can see here all of the areas we were able to improve immediately just by having a connected system. These were real game changers for our program and our program's ability to add value to the teams that we support and also the broader company. Beginning with process optimization in the lower left-hand corner, we had a couple of immediate gains and have continued to be able to optimize processes around the use of VNDLY. Some of our initial gains included reducing data points from 3 systems to 1, redirecting 25 hours of data entry to higher value work, and a 42% reduction in our time to fill. Since then, we've continued to see both managers and requesters and the program team save significant time on things like interview coordination and reporting. The user-friendly, intuitive navigation experience helped us improve internal worker and vendor experiences. Suppliers told us immediately how much easier and faster processes are for them in VNDLY. Internal requesters were able to receive candidates, request interviews, reject candidates, go to offer, and take all kinds of action that were previously being managed via email and Slack. The expanded system functionality really allowed us to make significant improvements in the configuration of our instance. The flexible configuration makes expanding or updating the functionality really easy to self-administer. With our legacy tool, we had to submit tickets for any additional functions or features, or even to make changes to current functionality. And the flexibility that we have now, being able to self-administer these changes in VNDLY, really fosters a culture of continuous improvement. They also have weekly releases of meaningful enhancements for the business, so we always have fun reading through those each week. We have seen significant reduced compliance risk by tracking and managing a consistent compliance process in Workday VNDLY for extended workers. We've had reduced errors to 0 since go live, and that's reducing risk for us in a very measurable way. We've also seen decreased billing errors by having data aligned through the integration, and also by allowing users to submit time to multiple cost centers, thus eliminating manual cross-charging that was previously being handled by AP manually every month, as well as a monthly meeting that we used to have with finance every week to sort through the billing errors and correct them. And then finally, we have total external worker visibility for the very first time here at Workday. The stakeholders get on-demand and real-time direct access to information through VNDLY dashboards and reporting. We have enabled internal stakeholders to track 100% of external worker movement and types. And I now have more data and better visibility into that data than I have ever had in one place in any system previously, which helps me be a better program manager in a variety of different ways. And now I will pass it over to Nicole for a demo of Workday VNDLY.
Wonderful, thank you, Carrie. All right, gonna get my screen shared for us all. All right, well, so starting off today, we're going to begin our demo in Workday HCM, and I've already gone ahead and logged in as a business leader who's given full visibility into what's happening within her organization. So she can not only help to build out headcount plans, but also monitor the progress and execution of those plans. To help with visibility, Workday provides to you dashboards such as your plan, execute, and analyze, so you can see what's happening within your business. You can quickly see where you have gaps, drill in to get more information, and even reach out to managers directly in your team to have conversations around their hiring. Workday allows you to continue to gather more information yourself with its easy to use and intuitive design. Here I have visibility into things like what my total spend under management is within my workforce for both my FTE employees as well as my contingent workforce. I can also go ahead and manage my headcount to plan pipeline. And if I drill into, let's say, our global support group for North America, I can see that I'm looking to hire quite a bit here with my headcount, but I have a lot of hiring left to do. So let's go ahead and drill in to get some additional information. From here, I can see that this is under Scott's team, and I can go ahead and easily navigate to the org chart. And from here, I have an easy to read view to quickly understand just how many on-field positions there are on Scott's team in this organization. And looking at this, it's no wonder that this team has been sharing in their employee surveys through Peakon that they're feeling really overworked. We can see Scott is trying to fill quite a few call center openings, and this is probably attributing to that overworked feeling that the team has. To improve their experience and avoid attrition, let's say you decide it's time to reach out to your extended workforce network to get these requisitions filled with your preferred staffing suppliers. Right here from your org chart, you have the ability to go ahead and create a new job requisition directly in Workday. And by tagging it as contingent, once all of your appropriate approval business processes have been completed, this requisition can then flow directly into Workday VNDLY automatically, leveraging the power of those pre-built API connectors. Or you have the power of choice and flexibility to actually go ahead and open this requisition directly in VNDLY, which you'll see is what we've already gone ahead and done in just a moment. And by doing it this way, it gives you the ability to leverage those standardized rate cards and even automated supplier distribution lists. And even though we see there are quite a few positions listed here in Scott's org chart, because of that seamless integration, Workday VNDLY already knows which positions are available for external sourcing and will take care of connecting it all back into Workday HCM for you. So from here, let's say you decide that you'd like to quickly navigate back to your plan, execute, and analyze dashboard, but this time you toggle to your contingent workforce dashboard for another easy to use integrated platform. From here, you can go ahead and take a look at additional insights related to your non-employee workforce, but I can also, with a single click, easily navigate to my Workday VNDLY dashboard. Now, just like we saw in Workday, for our business leader, with the right security access, you can be set up as a program manager, just like Carrie, with system admin access for full visibility into everything that you need to manage your program and a simple to understand and familiar experience. Again, this is permission access level based. So if you envision running your program differently or having different access types, know that VNDLY does have that flexibility for you. When logged into VNDLY, you're supported with a modern, easy to use navigation for high-level visibility into your program. So you can quickly see exactly where you need to focus your energy for the day, including callouts for urgent tasks and notifications. And you're even supported with graphical reporting to answer those top-of-mind questions like, what was my spend last month? Or what vendors are supporting me within the program and performing best? With one click from Workday HCM here on my Workday VNDLY homepage, I have that complete pulse check on the entire contingent program. So I can go ahead and see how many open jobs do I currently have, how many active work orders or assignments are there, and what workers are associated. And because Workday VNDLY also has a fully responsive web design, this is scalable and accessible on any device. So think about your smartphone or tablet. You can work when and where you need to, even while on the go. Through VNDLY's modern and intuitive design, you're also able to easily access your open jobs and filter, sort, and search just the same as you would if you were online shopping. It's that same user-friendly, consumer-driven experience that our customers have become accustomed to with Workday HCM as well. Our supplier partners will also come to VNDLY to submit their candidates. They're supported with the same easy-to-use design and even see items such as status and pending approval. So they can go ahead and begin sourcing a pipeline of candidates for you, even while your requisition is still going through the approval workflow. This is one of those reasons that we suggest starting your requisition in Workday VNDLY, because it gives suppliers that instant visibility into what roles are coming soon, so they can begin building out that pipeline of candidates for you, and in turn, reducing your overall time to fill. Now here we see that call center manager position for Scott's org that we're hoping to get quickly. So let's go ahead and take a deeper look. Now by opening the requisition in VNDLY, not only do we have information such as your organizational details and your hiring team, but we are also able to leverage the added power of a standardized rate card. And by automatically pulling in pre-established rate cards based on role or location, VNDLY helps to enforce compliance with your hiring managers and suppliers, helping to save you both time and money without slowing down the process of getting someone onboarded. We also have visibility into job status. And here we're able to indicate at a glance and view just how many offers there are outstanding or how many positions are left to be filled in a single requisition. Below that is the automated supplier distribution list. Organizations are empowered to set up vendor distribution groups and rules, including tiering, which can be based on things such as location or job category, with automation and flexibility that ensures you're getting the best candidate in as quickly as possible and with the least amount of manual effort, which is something Carrie has spoken about being really helpful with her program. And just like in Workday HCM, all activity in VNDLY is tracked. These are date and time stamped and fully reportable, so leaders always have that full picture of what's going on related to a specific job. As we scroll to the bottom of the page here, we're able to see where we're leveraging the power of those pre-built connectors. Here we see the exact position IDs that are associated with this requisition in Workday HCM. Again, this is work that no one had to do. Now, as I navigate to the Applicants tab, here we can see that candidates can be viewed in either a list style, or we can go ahead and easily toggle for a card stack view for side-by-side comparison. Carrie saw a really big difference in job applicants and her process here for her program. Before switching over to Workday VNDLY, her suppliers were often going around the program and sending their resumes via email and not through their legacy VMS because it was too cumbersome to use and not intuitive for their hiring managers. With the easy to use interface for both the vendors and hiring managers, Carrie's program has seen cycle times reduced with the implementation of Workday VNDLY. Here, her team can even shortlist candidates for the hiring managers, limiting the number of candidates that they need to review, ensuring they're getting the best person in as quickly as possible. We can also go ahead and utilize the starring feature, where you can go ahead and favorite candidates who maybe performed really well during a pre-screen interview or had really positive feedback in the past. This is going to be that humanistic rating that I like to think of as breadcrumbs to let others in your hiring team know of your initial thoughts. Within VNDLY, you also have the ability to easily identify duplicate submittals, enabling your program to quickly make informed decisions based off of whatever pre-established policies you might have when one or more suppliers do submit the same candidate. Is it first in, first win, or perhaps you're going to go with the vendor who has a more reasonable bill rate? And just like you're used to in Workday as a program manager, you have the ability to go ahead and take action directly from this screen. So you can easily extend an offer, reject, onboard, take additional actions, or go ahead and drill into a worker's profile for additional insights. As you can see here, you're able to now get additional information such as what technical skills does this candidate possess, or what is their rate information or worker classification details. You also have full visibility into where a candidate is in the application process, including any steps that maybe had been skipped in an easy to read visual that can even be surfaced up to your vendor partners as well, creating that transparency and reducing unnecessary phone calls back and forth between your teams. And before you officially allow someone to come on board, you likely have compliance items that need to be completed prior to the start. Through the configuration of checklists, Workday VNDLY can track all of those pre-hire items in one place for you and can even be configured based off of your specifications. All activities around onboarding can be streamlined and tracked all through the security and auditability of Workday VNDLY. We even have the option to enable vendor-driven onboarding, giving your suppliers access to complete any necessary items for their worker while allowing your program managers and HR leaders to put controls around what those requirements may be. Now, once all of the required onboarding items have been completed, it's time to get this candidate onboarded. VNDLY will automatically pre-populate the details of the work order from the accepted offer, and by utilizing those Workday connectors. So as we scroll to the bottom of the page, if everything looks good, we're then able to see all of those pre-existing position IDs that are associated back to the org chart for Scott. From here, I can select what's appropriate and onboard the candidate. No matter how many positions were created and approved, VNDLY knows this worker needs to be associated with one of those open positions, and which of the original few we saw listed in Scott's org are in fact available for contingent hires, which is really going to simplify this experience for our customers, ensuring they honor processes and data that is already in place for you. Now from here, VNDLY automatically will generate a work order assignment and contractor profile for Gretchen, leveraging the power of the pre-built connectors. And here we see that this is in process. Now, this is telling us that the connection is working and the APIs are going through. So we're able to quickly see right here on this page, connector is running. We know that all of those pre-built connectors are happening in real time, and it's not going to slow down any provisioning or downstream integrations that you already have set up within Workday HCM. And our customers will now have that full picture of the entire workforce in one place. The worker profile will automatically be built. So if you think about down the line, perhaps you want to convert Gretchen to a full-time employee. All of that necessary information will already be in Workday HCM for you. So while this runs, a common question that I get related to this is how easy is it to set up these connectors? So I'm actually going to go ahead and pull back the curtain a bit for you while this is running and show you our company settings, because I think it's really important to understand that this is all set up through click, not code. So it's as simple as enabling the features you'd like to run and toggling them on, and then setting how often you'd like those specific features to run. So you can go ahead and set if you'd like it to run at a specific time or how often based off of intervals of time that these connectors should work and connect between HCM and VNDLY. Once you've enabled what you'd like, it's as simple as clicking submit, and you've gone ahead and completed this step. Now, from here, I want to quickly pause and just check in with the team. While the connector is running, are there any questions that we'd like to answer live?
Yes, let me take a look. Thanks, Nicole. We actually have a question here. I'm going to call Brett for this. It's about the checklist. Brett, if you're online,
Yes,
here's the
hello.
question. Hi. So for the checklist, can we capture expiration dates, and can the system send out notification when these dates approach?
Excellent question. Yes, absolutely. Workday VNDLY's highly configurable checklist module displays pending and outstanding candidate tests for both pre and post onboarding requirements. And you can configure these to align to your specific program. And you can set them up with expiration rules. So those are assigned to those checklist actions that you're configuring. And then notifications can also easily be configured to alert many different actors, such as vendors or contractors, managers, your MSP team, or even your system admin, those pending expiration dates that are coming up.
Thanks, Brett.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Well, and just as long as it took me to show you how the connectors run and Brett to answer one question, we're now seeing back on Gretchen's homepage that she's been onboarded. So now that we have a qualified candidate and have gotten them engaged, the connector is letting us know Gretchen's fully in Workday. So let's switch back over to the org chart to see how seamless and simple this is for our business leaders. So all it takes here is a quick refresh of the org chart. And just like that, we now have full visibility of our contingent worker right alongside the rest of the team. From here, we can now go ahead and have that full picture of your entire workforce. But not only that, you have the ability to now immediately report on your new hire through Workday's robust reporting tools, or take action directly from here as well. As Carrie mentioned, her program does, you can now also utilize Workday as a hub, and any downstream processes for provisioning that you already have established can all follow your current ways for those FTE population with the contingent hires as well, saving you time and increasing efficiency. So with that, I will go ahead and hand it back over.
Great. Thank you so much for that demonstration, Nicole. I'm just going to turn my camera back on. Is it working? There we go. And having the team join us as well. Thank you, Carrie, too, for sharing those helpful insights into your programs. So now we have time for some Q&A. Let me just advance this forward here. So I know our team's been busy in the back end here answering some questions that have been coming through the Q&A box. So thank you for those questions. And please do continue to ask those questions through that Q&A feature. Again, that's that little question mark with the speech bubble with the question mark in it. So let me just go through and see what I can ask here. The first question, again, I have here, I'm going to address this to you, Brett. What types of information can be integrated to VNDLY from Workday as part of the connector?
Excellent. So the Workday VNDLY connectors are pre-built and they're delivered out of the box, no coding necessary. So it's all done through configuration directly in the UI. And the APIs are really robust. They can sync foundational data from HCM into VNDLY, such as user data, work locations, your entire supervisory org structure, and your charge codes or your chart of account elements from Workday. In addition, the connectors can bring in job profiles, contingent worker types, reasons for creating positions, job changes, terminations, and much, much more. And all the activities that are taken in Workday, such as creating positions or applicant IDs or contingent worker IDs, when we create those contract contingent worker positions, those are synced back to VNDLY. So it's that bi-directional interaction to keep those systems in sync.
Awesome. Thank you. Another one here for you, Brett. Does contingent worker need to be activated in Workday to use VNDLY?
No, it's not a requirement at all. Workday VNDLY can be used as a standalone application, and having the Workday connectors in place is really a huge benefit, though. So providing that total workforce visibility and helping to drive provisioning and full workforce reporting for Workday customers.
Great. I'm going to switch things up here now. I think I have a question I'm going to direct to you now, Carrie. Can we track breaks in service / tenure?
Yes, we are currently using VNDLY to track that today.
And another one about MSPs. So MSP or PMO, what should be some of the considerations?
Yeah, that's a very complicated and I think quite personal question to any individual company or program. I think the very first lens that helps anyone, individual company answer that question is really their company culture. And whether or not sort of as a culture, they build teams internally or tend to look more towards outsourcing. I also think the primary driver for this will be program complexity. I think if you have a program with a lot of manual processes that has a lot of complexity in it, then it starts to become easier and possibly cheaper to outsource. But as you start to create automated processes and you start really creating efficiencies in your processes, then I think it can start to make more sense to look at insourcing when your PMO, when those activities that you would need a program team to do are able to be a little bit more strategic versus tactical.
Great. Thanks for sharing. I have another question here that this one I think can be answered by either Brett or Carrie, but I'm gonna start you off with this question, Brett, and then Carrie, I guess if you have anything else to add, you can always chime in. Just can you please provide some details, information on the Workday as a hub?
Yeah, absolutely. So Workday Hub as a hub concept is having those integrations in place gives you that total workforce visibility right there in HCM. So you're having your full-time employees right alongside your extended workforce. And having that data in place in HCM can now enable you to expand that ROI for your existing integrations. So a lot of our Workday customers are investing heavily in integrating Workday with our external systems. Those integrations can now be repurposed to also include your contract contingent labor and drive those provisioning processes downstream.
And I'll just add a practical note on that. As a program manager, I often find that the contingent workforce programs I've run aren't handed large budgets. And so to actually be able to solve problems effectively within the budget that I'm given in any particular year will often be better served for me to piggyback and partner off of already built integrations versus trying to fund building new ones that are effectively the same on my own.
Great, thanks guys. Another question that's come in, will VNDLY connect to Oracle HCM and because they've integrated with Oracle HCM and Finance?
Yeah, we definitely have customers with Oracle products that we've integrated with in the past. So we have you covered. It's not a package integration, but we absolutely can accommodate those integration points.
And another one, Brett, can VNDLY be used to capture deliverables for an SOW and get the necessary approval?
Yes, yes. The SOW capabilities in VNDLY is really robust. It allows you to capture multiple payment types on a single SOW. So you can have fixed payments, you can have deliverables or milestones. You can capture your time and materials for those team members so they can submit their timesheets and their expense sheets right through VNDLY, tied to that SOW. In addition, you can also do unit-based payment types. All of that can be handled on a single SOW.
Great. Kind of blasting through these. Let me see another one here. We have pre-negotiated rates with our vendors. How can Workday VNDLY ensure we enforce these rates when we go to vendors to source our contingent labor? Brett and Carrie, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to take that one, Carrie?
You can start.
Maybe I'll start off.
Jump in practically, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so rates can be enforced by adding rate cards. It can be loaded into VNDLY or it can be maintained through the UI. But the rate cards essentially, build out that agreement that you had pre-negotiated with your vendors for that minimum and that maximum bill rate. It can be tied to a variety of different criteria. It's all configurable. And that will ensure that when your hiring managers go through and make a placement, that they're staying within that agreed upon min-max range. One more thing that our rate templates do that's I think is really cool is allows you to surface up a suggested rate right to your hiring manager, so they can get a temperature and kind of where the market's at, and that's a value that can be maintained right on those rate cards within the tool.
Yep.
So Carrie, I don't know if you had any.
Yeah, to share a little bit about how we do it specifically at Workday. There's a lot of different ways you can set up pricing. I'm sure many of you out there have, bill rate ranges and or rate cards. And I'm sure there's a few of you out there that are still on perhaps a markup overpay. So what we decided to do at Workday is have a rate card that we use, and we do have that loaded into VNDLY. But then we also have an operational maximum markup. And so because we want to make sure that we're getting the best value for the services, we do want to make sure that we're not getting charged over a certain markup percent within even that bill rate range. So we have the reports that will tell us after the fact what the average markup any particular supplier is submitting their candidates at, and we do a lot of measurement on the markup sort of after the fact. And then as we're at the beginning of any requisition, we can very easily provide estimates for budgets to the requester. And then of course that markup or that rate card ensures that those suppliers are staying within the rate max and mins that we've outlined for a particular position and geography.
Great. Thank you. Next question I have is the integration between VNDLY and Workday configurable? For example, if we have a client that doesn't want to import all of their organizations or locations that are not applicable for contingent workers, can these be excluded from the APIs into VNDLY?
Yes. The Workday Connector config enables our customers' admin users to configure filters right through the UI. So you go in 3 centralized tabs that Nicole was showing you earlier, and you can do that all through click, not code. It's all done through one of the great benefits of these connectors is that we're able to change those settings with just a few clicks. So essentially, there's no IT involvement necessary. You have access to that right in the UI. And if you need to make changes or your business process changes that require some updates to those configurations, you can go right in there, make those changes, couple clicks, and you're ready to test. It's a zero cost change.
Great. I do have a few more questions. There's a lot that's coming through, so thank you everyone for answering these. I'm going to switch it up. This is more of a services question. If switching VMS from another MSP account, does that shorten the implementation timeline at all? Brett, Nicole, maybe?
Yeah, I can take that one. So switching VMSs from another VMS, it doesn't really necessarily change the timeline, but it does make the transition a bit smoother. Deployment is with the data scrubbing and extraction, it can often be a long hole in the tent, if you will. And so what we do with our vast experience of helping customers migrate from legacy VMSs is we'll provide you the necessary data templates, guidance, and really help you stay on task to all the things that need to be done to ensure that data migration runs very smoothly.
Great, thank you. And I have a question here that was answered earlier on, but I think I'll pull it up because someone else asked it as well. So good to address. Is VNDLY a separate module or solution from Workday?
Yeah, absolutely. So while VNDLY is a standalone application, cloud-based software as a service, it is tightly integrated with Workday HCM. So for our Workday customers, there's a huge benefit of having those out-of-the-box connectors all ready to go to keep those systems in sync. But if you're not intending to utilize Workday HCM, you can utilize VNDLY absolutely as a standalone application.
Thank you. And I have a question that I'm going to direct to you, Carrie. So I see a few questions that are similar like this, but I'll ask this one. Why would I use this, I guess by that means Workday VNDLY, instead of existing contingent workers option in Workday today?
Yeah, there's the sourcing and managing of external workers has some unique differences. And so there's a few things that VNDLY can really do well and better than what else you would experience in a contingent module. So pay, we've got some of the rate cards like I spoke of, and some of the different ways that the suppliers can interact with the submission of the candidates and the rates as they're submitting them. There's sourcing. We've got the ability in VNDLY to create really specific distribution lists for skills and niche skills, and with our ability to administer changes ourselves, we can identify new needs and create new distribution lists very quickly. And then there's a bunch of things around sort of program management. So getting reporting that is specific to contingent workforce management as a program manager, being able to measure my suppliers, the throughput, the time to fill, and some of those aspects of a contingent workforce program are really important. And again, with VNDLY being purpose-built for this, a lot more of it is easy to just plug and play rather than having to sort of figure out how you're going to get to that end report that you want. So those are some of the broader areas that we see as differentiators.
Great answer. Thank you, Carrie. Another one for you. Someone just did ask, what does MSP stand for? So maybe we'll just clarify that on the call right now for those who.
Yeah, absolutely. That stands for Managed Service Partner, and that would be a service provider effectively who would use your vendor management system to administer your entire program or portions of your program on your behalf.
Okay, and a few people have asked about if this webinar is recorded and if it was distributed after, and yes, the answer is yes. Within 24 hours, this recording will be distributed and you can access the recording through the same link that you used to join our webinar today. So yes to that answer. I think we have time for maybe one more question. I'm just scrolling through. Sorry, a few of these have been answered. Contingent workers count towards our annual employee costs. Is there a limit or PEPM cost for VNDLY? PEPM. Brett, I'm calling. Do you know what PEPM stands for?
I don't. So to be honest, that's a little bit out of my realm. I don't typically deal with pricing, but we can definitely get you in touch with account executives who can talk you through those pricing options.
Yeah, that sounds good. We'll get back to you with that response.
Michelle, just to add, I think that it's based on program spend per employee per month, something like that, so we can get additional details.
Thank you. Okay, I think we are actually coming to a close now. So is all we have time for in terms of questions. Thank you so much for all those great questions and great answers. We had some good conversation happening here. Just want to close things off by showing you a little save the date for Workday Rising. So just want to make this special mention. It is coming up. So our Workday Rising event is in San Francisco, California this year. It's from September the 26th to the 29th. and this event is available to attend both in person and online. So Carrie as well will be there live presenting. So if you want to hear more from Carrie and about her program, please do come and join us. And you can expect registration to open around late June for that. And that concludes our presentation today, everyone. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Carrie and Nicole for your great presentations. Thank you to Brett. I gave you a lot of questions to answer today, so thank you for that. And I'm just leaving this on the screen for some upcoming looking forward webinars that's coming up in the month of June. Hopefully you can come and join us again. And a quick reminder to just fill in those little surveys before you sign off today. So everyone have yourselves a great day or evening wherever you are in the world. And thank you again for joining. Until next time.